The stars had always been quiet. That was what Captain Tay liked about space. After 30 years of service, he had learned to love the silence between worlds. But today, the silence felt different. It felt like something was watching. The Horizon's Edge was a big ship, but it was not a warship. It carried 3,000 colonists sleeping in cold chambers. Dreaming of their new home on New Busan, Tay had made this trip many times. He knew every sound his ship made, every vibration in the metal floors. And right now, something was wrong. "Captain," said Lieutenant Hannah from her station. Her voice was calm, but Tay had served with her for 5 years. He could hear the tension underneath. "We have a contact. Big one. Really big." Tay walked to the main screen. What he saw made his blood turn cold. The alien ship was massive. It was black and covered with sharp angles, like someone had carved it from a mountain of dark stone. Red lights glowed along its surface like angry eyes. The Horizon's Edge looked like a toy next to it. "What is that?" whispered Dr. Wu, the ship's doctor. He had come to the bridge when the alarms started. His face was pale. "I don't know," Tay admitted. "But I don't think they're here to say hello." The communication screen flickered. A face appeared, and Tay felt his stomach drop. The alien was terrifying. Its head was large and covered with hard plates like armor. Its eyes were black and empty, like holes in space. When it opened its mouth, Tay saw rows of sharp teeth. The creature was easily 8 feet tall, maybe more. "Primitive vessel," the alien said. Its voice was deep and harsh, like rocks grinding together. "You have entered space claimed by the Velthari Dominion? Your ship and your bodies now belong to us. Surrender, or we will destroy you." Tay took a slow breath. His heart was pounding, but he kept his face calm. "This is Captain Tay of the Earth vessel Horizon's Edge. We are a peaceful transport ship. We mean no harm. Can we discuss this?" The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Discuss. You are prey. Prey does not discuss. You have 1 minute to lower your shields and open your doors. If you do not, we will kill everyone on your ship except the young ones. They will make good slaves." The screen went dark. Dr. Wu grabbed Tay's arm. "Captain, what do we do?" "We can't fight that thing." Tay looked at his crew. Hannah was already working at her station, her fingers flying over the controls. In the corner, young engineer Sora was doing something to the power systems. They weren't panicking. They were preparing. Dr. Tay said quietly, "Go to the medical bay. Get ready for wounded. There will be many. But Captain, go now." Dr. Wu ran. Tay opened the ship-wide communication channel. "All crew, this is the captain. We have hostile contact. Security teams to positions. All colonists who have combat training report to Sergeant Day in Cargo Bay 4. Everyone else, stay in your quarters and lock the doors." He paused. "They think we're weak. They think we'll just give up. Let's show them what humans do when someone threatens our people." Sergeant Day was waiting in the cargo bay when the volunteers arrived. He was a short man with a shaved head and scars on his face from the Mars Rebellion. He had killed more enemies than he could count, but he had never killed an alien before. He was almost excited. "Listen up," Day said to the 30 colonists who had come. Most of them were farmers and workers, but some had military training. One woman caught his eye. She was tall, with short black hair and cold eyes. "What's your name?" Day asked her. "Myra. I was a competition shooter before I signed up for the colony." Day nodded and handed her a rifle. "Good, you're with me." The ship shook. The aliens were cutting through the hull. "They're coming," Hannah's voice said over the speakers. 50 of them. "They're heading for the main corridor." Day smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Sora, are you ready?" In the engineering room, young Sora's hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "Ready, Sergeant?" "On your command, do it." All the lights on the ship went out. The Velthari warriors moved through the dark corridor with confidence. Their armor was thick, their weapons were powerful, and they had conquered 100 worlds. These soft pink creatures would be easy to capture. The first warrior heard a sound behind him. He turned, but saw nothing. Then something hit him in the face. It was a metal pipe, swung with all the strength a human could gather. The pipe hit the gap between his armor plates, right at his neck joint. The warrior fell, before his body hit the ground. More sounds came from the darkness. Gunfire. Screaming. Not human screaming. Velthary screaming. The aliens couldn't understand what was happening. The humans were small and weak. They had no armor, no claws, no venom. But they moved through the darkness like ghosts. They attacked from every direction. They used the ship itself as a weapon, opening doors to slam into warriors, venting hot steam from pipes, turning the gravity off and on to throw the aliens off balance in 30 minutes. It was over. Captain Tay walked through the cargo bay, stepping over the bodies of dead aliens. His security team had lost 8 people. The Velthary had lost all 50. "Sir," Hannah said, "the alien commander is calling. He seems ... upset." Tay smiled grimly. "Put him through." The Velthary commander's face appeared on the screen. For the first time, Tay saw something in those empty black eyes. Something that looked like fear. "What are you?" the alien demanded. "What kind of monsters are you?" "We're human," Tay said simply. "And you just made a very big mistake." Before the commander could respond, Hannah looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm picking up new contacts." "Many of them." She paused, and then she smiled. "They're ours. The Navy is here." Outside the window, ships began appearing from fold space. Human warships, sleek and deadly. 15 of them, surrounding the massive alien vessel. Like wolves circling a wounded beast. The commander's face twisted with rage and terror. Tay leaned toward the screen. "Congratulations," he said quietly. "You just picked a fight with the deadliest species in the galaxy." Dr. Wu had never seen so much blood. Some of it was red human blood. But most of it was blue, thick, and dark, leaking from the bodies of the alien warriors that lay scattered through the corridors of the horizon's edge. He knelt beside a wounded colonist, wrapping bandages around a deep cut on the man's arm. "You're going to be fine," Wu said softly. "Just keep pressure on it." The man laughed weakly. "Doc, you should have seen it. That thing was twice my size. It had claws like knives. And we still killed it." Wu nodded, but inside he was thinking about something else. He was thinking about what he had seen when he examined the dead aliens. He was thinking about their weaknesses. In the medical bay, Wu worked through the night. He cut open one of the Velthary bodies and studied it carefully. What he found surprised him. The aliens were impressive. They had natural armor, powerful muscles, and venom in their claws. On their home world, they must have been the ultimate predators. But they had weaknesses. Their armor had gaps at the joints. Their eyes were sensitive to bright light, and their bodies could not handle extreme temperatures. They needed the air to be exactly right, or they would get weak. Most interesting was the small organ near their brain. It released chemicals that the other Velthary could smell. Wu realized this was how they communicated in battle. If that organ was damaged, the warrior would be lost and confused. Wu wrote everything down and sent it to Sergeant Day. On the other side of the ship, Mira sat alone in a dark storage room. Her hands were covered in blue blood. Her body was covered in wounds. 3 cuts on her arms, a deep gash on her leg, and bruises everywhere. She was shaking, but not from fear. From something else. Something that felt like victory. 3 hours ago, a Velthary warrior had found her hiding spot. She had been protecting 3 children, colonist kids who had gotten separated from their parents during the attack. The alien had broken through the door, its black eyes hungry, its claws dripping venom. Mira had no gun. The children had no weapons. All she had was a metal pipe from a broken shelf. She fought anyway. The battle lasted 6 minutes. The alien cut her again and again. Its venom burned in her wounds like fire. But Mira would not stop. She hit the creature over and over, aiming for the gaps in its armor, for its eyes, for anywhere she could reach. Finally, she found its throat. One hard swing of the pipe crushed something important. The alien made a choking sound and fell. Mira stood over it, bleeding and exhausted, and watched it die. The children were safe. That was all that mattered. Now, sitting in the dark, Mira understood something about herself. Something about all humans. They were not the biggest creatures. They were not the strongest or the fastest. But they had something else. Something the Velthri did not understand. Humans never gave up. On the bridge, Captain Tay was talking to Admiral Yoon. The Admiral's face filled the communication screen. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes, but his voice was sharp as steel. "How many did you lose?" Yoon asked. 8 dead, 23 wounded, Tay reported. "We killed all 50 of their boarding party." Yoon was quiet for a moment. 50 elite warriors. Against farmers and a small security team? He shook his head slowly. The galaxy has no idea what it's dealing with. "Sir, what do we do now? That dreadnought out there is still a threat." "No," Yun said. "That dreadnought is a target." He turned to someone off screen. "All ships, battle positions. We're taking that thing." Lieutenant Hannah watched the human fleet move into formation. She had studied military history in school. She knew that humans had been fighting wars since the beginning of their existence. It was in their blood. Every generation had warriors. Every culture had soldiers. The Velthri thought they were predators. They thought humans were prey because humans were small and soft. They didn't understand. Humans were the most successful predators their planet had ever produced. Not because of strength or speed, but because of something more terrifying. Persistence, patience, the ability to track prey across endless distances, to never stop, to never give up. On ancient Earth, humans would chase animals for days until the animals collapsed from exhaustion and intelligence. Humans made tools. They made plans. They worked together in ways other creatures could not imagine. A single human was not dangerous, but humans were never single. They came in groups, and those groups were deadly. The Velthri were about to learn this lesson. Sergeant Day gathered his remaining fighters in the cargo bay. Most of them were wounded, but none of them wanted to rest. They had tasted victory, and they wanted more. "Listen up," Day said, holding up a data pad. "Dr. Wu found some interesting things about our new friends. Their armor has weak spots at the joints. Bright lights blind them, and they can't handle cold." He smiled. "The Admiral is going to board their ship. He wants volunteers." Every hand went up. Mira stood at the front, her wounds wrapped in bandages, her eyes burning with cold fire. "When do we leave?" "Soon the Admiral's Marines will lead the attack, but he wants some of our people with them. People who have already killed these things. People who know how they fight." Young Sora raised her hand. "I'm coming too," Day frowned. "You're an engineer, not a fighter." "I'm human," Sora said simply. "That's enough." Day looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Get a weapon." On the Velthri dreadnought, the commander was screaming at his officers. "They're just primitive creatures. How did they kill 50 warriors?" No one had an answer. The commander watched the human fleet on his screens. The ships were small, much smaller than his dreadnought. By all logic, he should destroy them easily. But something had changed. Something in his chest felt cold and tight. He realized with growing horror that he was afraid. He had conquered dozens of species. He had watched countless enemies beg for mercy. He had never felt fear before now, watching those small ships move toward him like hungry wolves. He understood something terrible. His people had made a mistake that might cost them everything. The humans were coming, and they were not coming to talk. Commander Jin stood on the bridge of the Guangetto, watching the alien dreadnought through the main window. The enemy ship was enormous, covered with weapons that could destroy a city with one shot. Any sane person would be afraid. Jin was smiling. "All weapons ready," Commander reported his tactical officer. "Good, tell the fleet we're going in first. Someone has to show these things what human warships can do." Admiral Yoon's voice came through the communication channel. "Jin, don't do anything stupid." "Never, sir." "I'm just going to say hello." The Guangetto shot forward like an arrow. It was a destroyer, built for speed and violence. Within seconds, it was racing toward the massive alien ship. The Velthri opened fire. Beams of red energy cut through space, powerful enough to melt steel. But Jin was ready. The Guangetto twisted and turned, dodging the attacks like a dancer avoiding clumsy punches. Turn fire. Jin ordered. Human weapons were different from Velthari weapons. The aliens used energy beams, impressive but predictable. Humans used missiles, torpedoes, and railguns that fired metal at incredible speeds. They also used nuclear warheads. The first missile hit the dreadnought's shields. The shields held, but barely. The second missile hit the same spot. The third one broke through and exploded against the hull. A hole opened in the side of the massive ship. Admiral Jin reported, "I made a door for you." The rest of the human fleet attacked. 15 ships hit the dreadnought from every direction. The Velthari fired back, and their weapons were powerful. 2 human ships were damaged badly. One exploded, killing everyone aboard. But the humans kept coming. Specialist Bora watched from the flagship, studying the enemy's movements. She had spent years learning about alien psychology, preparing for the day humanity would meet other species. She had imagined many scenarios. This was not one of them. "They're confused," she said to Admiral Yoon. "Their battle patterns are predictable. They always do the same things. They don't know how to adapt." "They've never had to," Yoon replied. "They've always been the strongest. They've never fought anyone who could challenge them. Till now," Yoon nodded. "Until now. Send the message." Bora activated the communication system. She had learned the Velthari language from captured data. Now she broadcast a message directly to the enemy fleet, in their own words. "Velthari warriors, you came to take slaves. You found wolves. Run home and tell your masters what you learned today. Or stay and feed the darkness between stars with your bodies." There was no response. But Bora could imagine the fear spreading through the alien ship. The battle continued for 2 hours. Human tactics were unlike anything the Velthari had seen. The small ships worked together perfectly, covering each other, creating distractions, focusing their fire on weak points. When one ship was damaged, others protected it. When an opening appeared, everyone attacked at once, and then the boarding began. Commander Jin led the Marine squad personally. His commanders had tried to stop him. A captain should stay on his ship, they said. But Jin had not joined the Navy to sit safely behind screens. "I'll be back soon," he told his crew. "Keep shooting until I tell you to stop." The Marines entered the dreadnought through the hole Jin had created. Inside, the ship was dark and hot, filled with strange smells and harsh red lights. The Velthari were waiting for them. The first fight happened in a wide corridor. 20 alien warriors charged at the Marines, their claws raised, their teeth showing. They expected the small humans to break and run. The humans opened fire. Human weapons were loud. The sound echoed through the metal walls like thunder. The Marines had studied Dr. Wu's report. They aimed for the joints, for the eyes, for the throat. Bright lights attached to their helmets blinded the aliens. Small grenades filled the air with cold gas that made the Velthari slow and clumsy. In 3 minutes, 20 warriors lay dead. "Push forward," Jin ordered. "Find their command center." Sergeant Day and his volunteers joined the Marines in the second wave. Mira walked beside him, a rifle in her hands and cold determination in her eyes. She had killed one of these things with a metal pipe. Now she had real weapons. "Stick together," Day told his people. "Watch the corners. These things like to hide. They move through the alien ship like ghosts." The Velthari tried to stop them again and again. Every time, the humans won. Not easily. They lost people. Good people died in those dark corridors. But for every human who fell, 10 aliens fell with them. Sora stayed close to Day, her hands shaking but her aim steady. She had never killed anyone before today. Now she had killed 5. She didn't know how to feel about that. Finally, they reached the command center. The Velthari commander was waiting for them. He was the biggest alien they had seen, covered with scars from old battles. He held a weapon that hummed with deadly energy. "You cannot win," the commander growled. "Even if you kill me, my people will come. We have 1,000 ships. 1,000,000 warriors. You are nothing." Jin stepped forward. "Maybe, but you won't be alive to see it." Commander raised his weapon. Jin was faster. 3 shots hit the alien's chest. He stumbled backward, his eyes wide with shock. He tried to speak, but only blue blood came out of his mouth. He fell. Jin stood over the body, breathing hard. Around him, his Marines secured the room, capturing or killing the last of the enemy officers. Outside the windows, the battle was ending. The human fleet had one. Admiral Yoon's voice came through Jin's communication device. Commander report. The ship is ours, Admiral. Jin looked down at the dead commander. But we have a problem. Before we killed him, this one said something. About a colony. About prisoners. There was a long silence. When Yoon spoke again, his voice was ice. Explain. They've raided one of our worlds, sir. They took people. Thousands of them. Another silence. Longer this time. Return to the fleet, Yoon finally said. We need to tell Earth. Jin looked at his Marines, at Day and Mira and young Sora. He saw the same thing in all their eyes. Anger. Cold, burning anger. The Velthari had taken humans as prisoners. As slaves, they had no idea what they had started. Ho remembered the day the aliens came to his world. He had been teaching history to his students, telling them about ancient wars and forgotten heroes. Then the sky turned red and the screaming began. Now he sat in a metal cage on an alien world, surrounded by thousands of other prisoners. The air was hot and smelled like chemicals. Strange machines hummed in the darkness, and everywhere the Velthari watched with their empty black eyes. They're sorting us, whispered the woman next to him. Her name was unknown to him, but they had started talking to stay sane. The young ones go left. The old ones go right. Where do they go after that? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Ho looked around the massive processing hall. He saw families torn apart, children crying for parents they would never see again. He saw old people being dragged away by alien guards. He saw things that made his heart burn with rage, but he also saw something else. He saw humans helping each other, sharing food, sharing water, protecting the weak. Even here, in this terrible place, humans refused to break. A young girl sat nearby, her eyes dry and hard. She couldn't be more than 16. Her name was Nari. You're not crying, Ho said quietly. Crying won't help, Nari replied. We need to fight. Fight. With what, our bare hands? Nari looked at him. There was something in her eyes that Ho recognized. The same thing he had seen in old pictures of soldiers and rebels and revolutionaries. Yes, she said simply. With our bare hands if we have to. That night, Nari killed her first Velthari guard. The alien had come to take a child from their cage. A small boy, maybe 5 years old, crying for his mother. Nari watched the guard reach for the boy, and something inside her snapped. She moved before she knew what she was doing. Her hand grabbed a piece of broken metal from the floor. She jumped on the alien's back and drove the metal into the gap between its armor plates, right where Dr. Wu's report said they were weakest. The alien screamed and fell. Nari kept stabbing until it stopped moving. Then she stood up, covered in blue blood, and looked at the other prisoners. They can be hurt, she said, her voice loud and clear. They can die. Remember that. They are not gods. They are just meat and bone, like us, and we can kill them. A spark lit in the eyes of the prisoners. Hope, defiance. Ho watched in amazement as the news spread through the processing center. By morning, every human on the planet knew Nari's name, and they knew her message. Fight back. On Earth, the news hit like a bomb. Every screen, every speaker, every device carried the same message. Aliens had attacked a human colony. They had taken prisoners. Thousands of innocent people, including children, were now slaves on an alien world. For one day, the world was silent. People sat in their homes, watching the news, unable to believe what they were seeing. Then the anger came. In every country, people took to the streets. Not to fight each other, not to protest their governments, to demand action. For the first time in centuries, every nation on Earth agreed on something. This could not stand. General Q received his orders 3 days later. He was given command of the largest military force in human history. Ships from every nation, soldiers from every culture, weapons from every factory on Earth and the colonies. His mission was simple: rescue the prisoners and make the Velthari pay. Q was an old soldier who had seen many wars. He had never wanted another one. But standing in front of his gathered officers, looking at the images of captured humans, he felt something awaken in his chest, something ancient and terrible. "We are not going to negotiate," he told them. "We are not going to make threats. We are going to their space. We are going to destroy anyone who stands in our way, and we are going to bring our people home." He paused. "And then we are going to make sure no one ever tries this again." The Velthari sent diplomats. They arrived at Earth's border in a small, unarmed ship, carrying messages of peace. They offered to return the prisoners in exchange for a treaty. They offered technology and territory. Earth's response was delivered by Admiral Yoon himself. "You took our children," he said, his voice calm and cold. "You put our people in cages? You treated them like animals." He leaned forward. "Return them unharmed, and we might let some of you live. This is not a negotiation. This is your only warning." The diplomats returned to their masters with pale faces and shaking hands. In the processing center, the resistance grew. Ho became a leader, organizing the prisoners into small groups. They hid weapons. They studied the guards' routines. They prepared, and Nari became a symbol. She was caught on security footage, standing over the guard she had killed, speaking her message of defiance. The Velthari tried to destroy the footage, but somehow it escaped. It spread to other prisoners on other worlds. It spread to other species who had suffered under Velthari rule. Nari didn't know any of this. She only knew that more guards came to their cage, and she killed them too. She taught others how to fight. She showed them where the aliens were weak. When the Velthari tried to execute her as an example, 30 prisoners attacked the guards at once. 12 humans died. 8 aliens died. Nari survived. The Velthari rulers were afraid. They had conquered many species, but they had never seen anything like this. These humans were not breaking. They were getting stronger, 3 months after the first attack. The human fleet was ready. Over 300 ships gathered at the edge of Velthari space. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Every ship carried soldiers and weapons in a cold, burning fury. General Q stood on the bridge of the flagship looking at the stars ahead. Behind him were millions of soldiers, ready to fight and die. "Send a message to Earth," he said. "Tell them we're going in." He turned to his officers. "Tell the fleet to prepare for jump. And remember what we're fighting for. Our people are waiting for us. They've been waiting for 3 months. They've been fighting alone. Now we're coming to help them." He paused. "Let's bring them home." The fleet jumped into enemy space. The war had begun. The Velthari Empire had stood for 10,000 years. They had conquered 200 star systems. They had enslaved 100 species. They had never known defeat. In 6 months, humanity broke them. The war was not a war. It was a hunt. Human ships moved through Velthari space like wolves through a forest, destroying everything in their path. The aliens tried to fight back, but they couldn't understand human tactics. Every battle was different. Every attack came from an unexpected direction. Captain Tay, now commanding the captured dreadnought Retribution, led the assault on the first Velthari fortress world. His crew had renamed the alien ship and painted human symbols on its hull. It was no longer a Velthari weapon. It was a message. "We're coming for you," the message said. "And we're using your own ships to do it." Planet by planet, system by system, the Dominion crumbled. The aliens who had never known fear learned to feel it. They saw human soldiers who kept fighting with terrible wounds. They saw human ships that attacked even when outnumbered. They saw humans who would rather die than surrender, and they were afraid. Lieutenant Hannah became famous for the Battle of Red Star. Her ship, lone and damaged, faced 3 Velthari destroyers. Any reasonable commander would have retreated. Hannah attacked. She destroyed all 3 enemy ships, for her own vessel finally broke apart. When rescue teams found her floating in the wreckage, she was unconscious but alive. Still gripping her weapon? "I wasn't done fighting," she said when she woke up. Sergeant Day led ground assaults on a dozen worlds. His unit became known as the Ghost Squad because they appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished. The Velthary put a bounty on his head. Day thought it was funny. "They're offering 10,000 credits for me," he told his soldiers. "I'm insulted. I'm worth at least 20. Commander Jin fought in every major naval battle. He earned 3 promotions and turned them all down. He wanted to stay in the fight, not sit behind a desk. "I'll take that admiral's chair when the war is over," he said. "Not before." Dr. Wu traveled with the fleet, treating wounded soldiers and studying captured aliens. His research saved thousands of lives. He discovered new weaknesses, new ways to fight. And he never forgot that he was a healer first. "We're not like them," he told a young medic. "We kill because we have to, not because we enjoy it. Remember that." 6 months after the war began, the human fleet reached the processing world, the place where thousands of humans were still held prisoner. Captain Tay led the assault from orbit. The Retribution's weapons tore through the planetary defenses like paper. Admiral Yoon's fleet followed, surrounding the world completely.
"How will no one leaves?"
Yoon ordered. "No one escapes. We're ending this today." On the ground, Ho and Nari prepared for the final fight. They had survived 6 months of captivity. They had killed dozens of guards. They had organized the prisoners into an army. Now they could see human ships in the sky. "They came," Ho whispered, tears running down his face. "They actually came," Nari smiled. It was the first time she had smiled in 6 months. "I knew they would. We never abandon our own." The Velthary guards tried to kill the prisoners before the humans could rescue them. It was their final act of cruelty. It was a mistake. Ho led the charge. Thousands of prisoners, armed with stolen weapons and improvised tools, attacked their captors. The battle was bloody and brutal. Many humans died. But for every human that fell, 3 aliens fell with them. When the first human Marines burst through the doors, they expected to fight their way to the prisoners. Instead, they found the prisoners standing over the bodies of their guards. Waiting for them, Sergeant Day was with the Marines. He stared at the scene in shock. Nari walked up to him, still holding a bloody knife. "What took you so long?" Day laughed. He couldn't help it. "You were supposed to wait for rescue. We got tired of waiting." Ooh, the processing world fell in 3 days. Every Velthary soldier was killed or captured. Every human prisoner was freed. Ships carried them home, back to Earth, back to their families. But the war wasn't over yet. The Velthary High Council, the rulers of the Dominion, sent a message to Admiral Yoon. They begged for peace. They offered everything. Planets, technology, their own lives. Yoon's response was cold. "You taught us a lesson about the galaxy. Now we're going to teach you one about humanity. We protect our own, always. And those who hurt our people pay the price, always." He gave them his terms. Complete surrender. Reparations for every human who had suffered. And a message broadcast to every species in the galaxy. The message was simple. Earth remembers its children. Earth protects its own. And Earth does not forgive those who threaten us. Think carefully before you test us. The Velthary thought we were weak. The Velthary were wrong. We are humanity. We are predators who learn to build starships. We are persistence made flesh. And if you come for our people, we will come for you. The Velthary agreed to everything. They had no choice. 10 years later, the galaxy was a different place. Humanity had become a major power. Other species traded with them, allied with them, respected them. Some species even asked for human protection. And humanity gave it freely. The Velthary Dominion still existed, but it was a shadow of its former self. They had learned their lesson well. Every young Velthary was taught about the war, about the terrible mistake their ancestors had made. One day a young Velthary child asked an elder about humans. The child had seen them in pictures. They looked so small, so soft. "What are they like?" The child asked. "They don't look dangerous. The elder was quiet for a long time. He remembered the war. He remembered the fear. They smile, he finally said. They laugh. They create beautiful things. Music and art and stories. They love their families and their friends. They can be kind and gentle. That doesn't sound scary. No, it doesn't. The elder looked at the child with old, tired eyes. But if you threaten what they love, they will burn your world to ashes and salt the ground where it stood. They will hunt you across the stars. They will never stop, never rest, until you are destroyed. They are the deadliest species in the galaxy. But why? Because they care, the elder said simply. They care about their people. They care about each other. And that caring makes them unstoppable. The child thought about this for a long time. I never want to fight humans, the child finally said. The elder nodded slowly. That, young one, is the smartest thing you will ever say. Far away, on a small blue world called Earth, life went on. Children went to school. People fell in love. Families gathered for meals. Ships sailed between the stars, carrying traders and explorers and dreamers, and somewhere in the dark between galaxies. Other species watched and learned. They saw what happened to the Valtheri. They heard the stories. They understood the message. Don't touch the humans. Don't threaten their people. Don't mistake their kindness for weakness, because underneath, those soft bodies and gentle smiles were the souls of predators. And predators never forget. Predators never forgive. Predators always win.